Hello, today is July 20th, 2021, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update on the news here in Mallorca. There's been lots of speculation, and yesterday lots of things were going in the news. There were lots of rumours on the internet about what new restrictions there were going to be enforced here in Mallorca. And some of the newspapers published what they thought were going to be the restrictions, what they expected, and what actually turned out at the end of the day was something a little bit different. So the main thing the government are trying to reduce is social gatherings. So this is what they refer to here as botellón. Botellón is where a group of young people get together with a bottle of rum, a bottle of Coke, and they have a drink and a good time together. And it used to be something that happened not only on the Paseo Marítimo and various other places on the island, but it's now, in the pandemic time, it's really begun to spread. And because the COVID cases are increasing dramatically amongst these young people, the government has decided that that's what they want to curb. So there are a number of restrictions that are going to happen. First of all, last week they said that shops and petrol stations couldn't sell alcohol after 10 o'clock at night. They also said that hotels should be checking people's rooms, that they were not storing alcohol in the rooms. I'm not sure how they can do that or even whether that's legal, but that was one of the restrictions that they suggested. But then they've gone a little bit further, and so yesterday, after all of the speculation, the government announced some of the things that the measures that they were going to put into place. And the first is that bars are going to close at 1 o'clock. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, now it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So bars and restaurants will have to close at that time. After 1 o'clock, you're not allowed to be with anyone that's not from your household. So somebody you don't live with, you're not allowed to actually be with them. This actually has to go to the High Court, so this won't actually go into effect until this weekend, but it's almost certain to pass through the High Court. So that means from 1 o'clock in the morning you've got to either be on your own with your family or back home and tucked up in bed, and that goes right through till 6 o'clock the following morning. If you're found out and you're with somebody you shouldn't be with, or if you're doing one of these botellons, they are imposing some really big fines. So where you might have been fined €100 before, that now jumps to €1,000. And in other situations, if you actually have been put into quarantine and you're out, then the fine increases again. And if you've actually got COVID and you're out, then the fine is even more, maybe up to €5,000, or even more, maybe a minimum of €5,000. So it's a really hard-hitting case there. If you're actually organising a party, and it's an illegal party, then the fines they've jumped tremendously, right up to €600,000. So if you're going to organise one of those parties, just make sure it's a legal party and you're following all the restrictions. But they don't want you to do that, and that's for sure. But perhaps the main thing that was being reported yesterday was masks. And earlier on in the day, one of the local newspapers, the Diario de Mallorca, was saying that was going to be reintroduced. In fact, they haven't. They haven't reintroduced the mandatory use of masks. So the rule really hasn't changed as far as masks are concerned. If you're in a crowded area, or if you're in an enclosed place, or you go inside a building, you're expected to wear a mask. But if you're outside, you're in the street, and you're nowhere near anybody else, then you don't have to wear a mask. They're recommending that you do wear a mask, but it's not mandatory. As long as you can maintain a reasonable distance, 1.5 meters, then you don't have to wear the mask. But if you get into a crowded situation, you're going to standing at a bus stop, for example, and there's lots of people around you, then you'd be expected to wear a mask. And as you're walking through the streets, you find that a lot of the locals here are wearing masks anyway. Yesterday we went to Manacor, we walked through the market in Manacor, and about half, or maybe more than half, of the people there were wearing masks just to walk through the streets. And that's probably correct, because you can't always maintain that distance of 1.5 meters. So that's more or less the news. There are some other things which really don't affect too much the tourism, sporting events, the attendance of sporting events. The rules have been changed a little bit. One that's continuing is parks and beaches. So you're allowed to go on the beach during the day, but come 10 o'clock at night you have to get off the beach, and that goes right through till 6 o'clock the following morning. Other things that are being affected but really don't affect tourists are things like weddings and those sorts of ceremonies. They're still going to be allowed, but they've reduced the number of people that can attend again. And similarly, there are restrictions on the number of cultural event people that can attend, which will include sporting events. So we went to a football match with Real Mallorca at the weekend, which was it was a local friendly game. Mallorca won, by the way, 1-0. But things like that are going to be restricted. So if it's an event in an open space, maximum of 2,500 people. We didn't have 2,500 people, so it wouldn't really affect us, or 50% of the capacity. So it's a little bit of a change. So I might have that capacity wrong. It's just looking here. It will depend on the event. 50% for football matches. So yes, the rules have changed a little bit here, and just reading the comments I've seen on Facebook, people are quite relieved that we haven't got to wear masks. We're looking at temperatures of 35, 36 in the next couple of days. It's going to get really hot, and in some parts in the middle of the island it may well go higher than that, up to 40 degrees, and wearing a mask in those conditions is really quite difficult. So a little bit of relief there that we're not going that far. Another bit of concern that people have had is what happens if you get COVID over here. And there are some stories which, I don't know, I guess they're true, but people being stuck in their hotel room and not being able to leave. If you're going back to the UK, you have to have your test, and if that proves positive, you're supposed to be going to a bridge hotel for quarantine, not in your staying in your hotel where the other tourists are. You're supposed to be moved to a bridge hotel where you can remain in quarantine. And it doesn't cost you anything. There's no charge for this. The Balearic government agreed some time ago in a meeting they had in Germany that they were going to cover the cost of the bridge hotel until you were fit or out of quarantine. And then they will repatriate you. They will pay for your flights to go back to your place of residence. Now, this only applies if you're staying in a legitimate hotel tourist accommodation. It doesn't apply to people who just come to stay in their apartment or their friend's apartment. But the stories I'm reading at the moment are suggesting that people have been forced to stay in their hotel, that they're not being fed and watered properly, and it doesn't sound quite right. This isn't what's supposed to be happening, and so I'm a little bit confused. But if I hear any more about that, I'll be sure to let you know. So thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, then please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. And Anita's gone off shopping today, so I'm being left to my own devices. Bye for now, and thanks for watching.